So I just got out of Joann's, and these are the fabrics that I got for my Ahsoka cosplay. 2.5 yards of this kind of purpley fabric. This will be for the main tunic, and probably also for the boot covers, like the pieces on her upper arms, and then her like vambraces. Now this nice like reddish leather will also be for the vambraces, and also I think her belts. Here I am tracing a tank top that I know has a similar stretch to the fabric I'm using, and here I've decided that it would be easier to just do it on the fold. If you're doing it on the fold, make sure to, once you cut it out, trace it again so you have two pieces. I made it longer than the tank top, and I changed the top to be more of a halter top rather than straps. Just had to make sure that the serger wouldn't react weirdly on this fabric, because I was serging each seam as I went. Now of course, as I was serging, it decided to come unthreaded, so I had to do about half of the seam all over again. So I'm just kind of sketching on where I think the little cutout should be, and this is kind of what I have, that little like triangle. So here it is. I've hemmed everything that's been cut out. So the neck, sleeves, or the armholes, this little cutout. So I did the back, and it looks nice, but it's too loose and it comes down too low. So I'm just gonna sew it up like 2 inches, 2-3 inches. For the belt, I have faux leather in red, and then I have good old trusty foam board. So here I have to measure my hips and waist for the belt. There is one central belt loop, and then there's 2 that go over the hips. For the main belt strap, I sewed it inside out and then tried to turn it. That took me about an hour and much frustration. So the next 2 I just did with a very small seam right side out. Okay, just a quick thing about the little pouch. I basically just have this cut out, like a nice strip, and I'm gonna sew it along the edges right here. And then I'm gonna try to make a base by like sewing it like that flat. So there's a little bit of a bottom, and then there'll be a little flap. Here's the finished product of the pouch with that triangle seam at the base. Let's make the metal pieces for her belt. Here are the cutout pieces. Let's get painting. Here are those painted pieces. Okay, so here's the Leku right now, and there's from the side. So it's not perfect, but I think this is where we're gonna leave it. I think I'm gonna make some sort of piece right here just to cover that strip of hair because it doesn't quite fit. Here's voiceover Amy to tell you that I did not, in fact, make that extra little piece. And then, obviously I have to paint this white and add the blue stripes because I think the blue stripes are a little bit darker than this color, so let's get painting. So this doesn't look too bad, but this has about 3 coats of white paint right here, and I did not have enough time to keep on putting more coats on, so I got white electrical tape and slapped it on. Here it is finished with the white electrical tape. It didn't stick at first, so I had to use black duct tape underneath. In the future, I would definitely just use white duct tape, but I didn't think of that at the time. Close up, it looks really, really weird, but from a distance, it looks okay. So my original plan, I cut out 4 pieces, 4 strips, and cut the indentations into them, but when I put them on my arm, they stretched out way too much. So I decided to make smaller strips and cut the indentations out once they were on my arm so they wouldn't stretch. In the end, I scratched this idea completely and just went for one solid piece. That way I could finish the edges much more easily, and I just painted on the skin color. For her gloves, I am just tracing a glove I already have, and yes, I already have one done. So I'm tracing it just to get the general width and length. Using foam board, I cut out the little gold clasps on her gloves and just painted them with a mixture of brown and gold, and I'll hot glue those on. Here are the supplies for the boot covers. Here is the aftermath of painting the gold clasps for the boot covers. Here's the fabric I'm using for the flap that hangs down from her belt. This is a satin, and here's the dull side, which is what I'm going to be using on the outside. Here's it next to the leather of the belt and the purple of the tunic. Here is that belt flap all pinned and ready to sew. Here it is already sewn. I have to still paint on the design, and then the top I'll just hot glue it to the belt clasp. Here's that belt flap glued onto the clasp, and here it is painted with all the little details. I tried blocking my eyebrows, so they're partially covered right now, but it didn't work great. For the skin color, I'm using a mixture of foundation I already had and orange acrylic paint. The foundation is to keep it from cracking when I smile or talk. And I'm just spreading that all over my face. You want to make sure you get the neck, the back of the neck too. I also ended up painting my chest where it showed in the cutout of the tunic. So here I'm just kind of freehanding the white marks she has on her face. You want to do it starting under, right at the cheekbone really. I'm doing it a little bit low here, but I'm going to come back and fix that later. For my eyeshadow, I used a kind of dark purple shade, and I used that same color on my lips. Now, if you want, you can also take a very small paintbrush, smaller than the one I'm using here, and use white paint to go right under your eye to give the animated eye effect, to make your eyes look a little bit bigger.